Fire, 1908. Page 245. New Year's Eve. In America, the New Year does not begin with Rosh Hashanah, but on the first day of January. Last night, a giant ball of light slid down a flagpole atop the Times Square building. On the ground below, thousands of people whispered wishes, waiters served champagne. The year 1908 emblazoned in miniature light bulbs on battery-powered top hats. If I have one wish for the new year, it's only that I will study harder, that I will be stronger, that the fight will never leave me, no matter how hard it gets. Wyson and Goldstein's. I walk uptown to West 17th Street, to a modern, airy shop with new machines, windows to the street, a locker to hang my hat. I call myself a draper. My hands are small, I say, and quick. The boss says, I pay $10 a week for my drapers. I take a breath to steady my fingers as I set up the pins, sculpt the shape, make the first decisive cut. 247. Poetry. In this shop, division among the workers is carefully cultivated. A Jewish girl sits in between two Italian women, so the workers cannot speak to each other. A girl making $3 a week sits beside another making 3 times her wage. At lunch, when we're free to mingle and chat with whomever we choose, division of another kind emerges. Clusters of quiet conversation form around the work tables, one for the men, one for the Italian women, one for the Jewish women, trading recipes, prayers asking forgiveness for working on Shabbos, one for the girls saving their pennies for tickets to the theater to watch Vera Komsarovska in one of Chekhov's plays. I sit with the girls, warming their hands by the stove, reading a book of Isbin's poems. The words keep my mind humming all afternoon. The bottom line. In between lectures, on the way to union meetings, Pauline's teaching me about commerce, pressure, competition, sweat. The links in the chain that connect the consumer looking to purchase a clean white shirtwaist, demanding a lower price from. The clerk in the storefront looking to move his family to a better part of town, demanding a lower price from. The owner of the garment shop looking to put food on the table, demanding a lower price from. The cotton farmer. In the chain of exalted commerce, each link sweats the one below. And who suffers? The workers. Stripped, drained, bled, dry as the barren cotton-wasted soil. 251. Trouble. A modern shop comes with its own set of troubles. There are windows, but they're locked. They're new machines, but with them we're expected to produce twice as much. The foreman takes the same liberties the boss, expects the same long hours. The floor is just as littered, just as dusty, just as tempting to an open flame. Influence. While the foreman steps out for a cigarette, I talk to the girls at the table with me. I say, think of all we stand to gain if we speak with one voice. Have you joined the union yet? Of course, the Italian women understand nothing of what I say, but I think of Isabella, how we didn't need words to understand each other. I hope when the time comes, it's the same with these women. Words inconsequential as feathers dropped in mid-flight. Snow. The orders slowed, and so for the first time all winter, I have a Sunday off. Pauline and I wrap up in our warmest clothes until only our eyes and the pink tips of our cheeks touch the air. We stop in a cafe for a cup of mulled cider, ride the Fifth Avenue bus to Central Park, where the snow swells on top of bushes and bedrock and petite trees, like a garden of clouds, round and white, sparkling with the laughter of the sun. 254. A light. I passed my spelling and mathematics exams. I hurry after work for the free school to check the schedule for the next round. Geography, history, and trigonometry. The thing that separates rich from poor in this world is knowledge. A person can rise up if she can read, if she can think, if she can speak. I cannot attend every class, every lecture, but if I share what I learn with the girls in my shop in between bites during lunch, if Pauline shares with the girls in her shop in between bites during lunch, it's as if we all were there together. I see these lunchtime lessons spreading like fire, skipping from one box of tinder to the next, across the shops, through the slums, until the entire city is alight with small, fierce burning flames. Time. I wish I had a clock of my own. I do not need burnished silver or gilded chains. Tin would do, or brass. As long as the gears turn, as long as the hands read true. At lunch, when we should have half an hour, the foreman moves the hands of the shop clock forward to cut our time short. We've caught him at it once or twice, but he's only cleaning the gears, so he says. Before the end of the workday, he moves the hands back again, farther this time, to keep us at our workstations even longer. Only after the doors are unlocked and we lift our eyes to the clock in the square do we know for sure we've been let out late again. How can we ever prove him wrong if we're all too poor for a simple timepiece? I feel like a monkey on a chain, dancing for the laughing crowds with no way to break free. 2:58. The Shrike. Today I watched a shrike plummet through the air, its curved beak clamped onto a swallow's neck in mid-flight. The shrike's wings snapped open. He glided to a perch on the thorn tree outside the shop. He must not have been hungry just then. He thrust, excuse me. He thrust the swallow's body onto a thorn, impaling it, saving it for later. What a student of science am I, disrupting the natural order of things, that I wanted to swat the creature away, lift down the lifeless bird, bury her, unhindered, under a layer of freshly turned dirt. Speed-ups. Without a machine, a worker can make 30 stitches a minute. With a machine, that number rises over 3,000. But somehow the boss is not satisfied, still with such a pace. Faster, faster, faster. The girls bend over their machines like saplings driven to the ground in a heavy snowstorm until there are only two options: snap and crash to the ground, or break free, whipping through the air to stand, quivering and tall. 260. Mercury. There will always be a reason to set my dreams aside. My family's well-being, the workers' struggle, my own desire to laugh and dance and skip my studies for a trip to the opera. Am I really so foolish to believe I can do more for myself, for Mama, for the workers if I do not? But how can I leave this fight, flit off to college when so many still suffer, when I can feel tension like mercury rising, with a wisp of hope beginning to drift skyward? Vote. The union brought in Yiddish and Italian translators. A vote was cast. A strike called to put an end to the speed-ups. For the first time since I stepped into a garment shop 3 years ago, I feel as if my work is worthwhile. Sting. At 8 o'clock, we march before the shop doors, pickets, arm in arm chanting, while a newspaper man scribbles notes, snaps photographs, while the boss watches, fists on hips, deadlines soaring past. At 9 o'clock, the boss calls in new workers, scabs. Women so desperate for work they'll betray their own, eyes down, hiding under such tattered and filthy schmatas as they walk past our picket line. I almost pity them. At 10 o'clock, the boss calls in thugs, gorillas, who throw us to the ground with their meaty shoulders, swinging fists and kicking like street fighters. I have no chance against the man twice as tall, twice as wide as me, crashing through the crowd like a scythe through slender shoots of wheat. Before I know what's happened, my head smacks against the pavement, a boot finds soft, tender spots in my belly, and I scream through gritted teeth. When they're gone, we lift each other up, dust ourselves off, raise our signs high, sing our marching songs until our hands stop shaking. At 11 o'clock, the boss calls in the police, coppers, to haul us away to jail. It's not the things they said, the bruise on my cheek filling with blood, the gash they open up my temple that sting the most. It's my view of the picket line. Through the barred window of the police wagon, as we're driven away, placards litter the street, abandoned. Strikers scatter, running home, running for safety. I see how feeble our brave movement is, how easily rattled we are. Is this our way? Is this what centuries of persecution have taught us? How to run? Locked up. I do not remember choosing walls rimmed in filth, dank cells, the concrete sweating its misery. When exactly did I choose this? Brave. I stand at the bottom of the steps leading up to our tenement, gripping the rail, 1 foot hovering above the first step. It was easier to be brave staring down those bullets with their billy clubs. My head throbs. All I want is my bed. But when I finally climb the stairs to the 2nd floor, what I get is shouting. Clara, Mama cries, reaching a hand to cut my battered face. We can't afford a doctor, Papa says. How can you be so selfish? It is that strike, says Marcus. They were all arrested today. They are criminals. Papa says, I forbid you to go back there. Nathan closes his school book, a finger holding his place, eyes darting to Papa and me and back again. A pink stain creeps along Benjamin's neck to the tips of his ears. He does not turn to look at me. I press a hand against my temple and answer calmly as I can. Just because they arrest us, that does not mean we are criminals. What is criminal is how we're treated. Please, I say, when Papa opens his mouth to yell some more. Let me sleep, Papa. If you think I must be punished, very well. These bruises have done your work for you. I lay my head softly against my pillow. Mama brings a cool cloth, gently lays it against the deepening bruise. Tomorrow, when the picket line disperses, much as I may wish for my bed for a hot bath, I know if there are bruises or cuts, I cannot come home until night shares the shadows. If 269. Pauline and I walk home through the dark, empty streets. We're different, she and I. No matter how alike our ideas, she's worked in the factory since she was a little girl. Her dreams and this fight are one and the same. I say as much to myself as anything. If I had my choice, I'd be at the union offices tending to contusions, stitching lacerations, for the strikers beaten back from the picket line, not offering my own body as a punching bag. She says, but it is your voice they listen to. If you're not on the front lines when the time comes to rally, the troops to battle, who will speak for us? I do not say out loud that some days it seems like only a matter of time before I and my dreams are dashed to the ground, trampled under the marching feet of the picket line. A Different Life, 271. After the morning pickets close, before we begin again in the afternoon, I wrap a shawl around my shoulders and ride the trolley north to a part of the city where the streets are wide and clean. I'm careful to go slowly, stretching a hand to the nearest brick wall or spade-tip fence post. I arrive just in time to see students in sterile lab coats, a dozen young men, 2 young women, mount the stairs and disappear through the wide doors of Cornell Medical College. I perch on a bench across the street for an hour, maybe 2, and imagine a different life, a different fight for myself. Not Christians against Jews or Jews against Jews, not rich against poor or male against female, a battle of the minds, and deft skill against the frailties of the body. I leave with an application tucked into my waistband. Every day, Mama begs, do not do this, Clara. Go to work like a good girl. 274. Seams. Sometimes I feel as if I'm being pulled apart by a seam ripper digging down, lifting the stitches that hold me together, slicing them one at a time. 1 stitch for Mama, who wishes for a hardworking daughter. 1 stitch for Papa, who wishes for an obedient daughter. 1 stitch for my brothers who cannot understand why everything with me is a fight. 1 stitch for the union men who refuse to take me seriously. 1 stitch for the girls toiling alongside me. 1 stitch for the part of me drawn into the labor fight. 1 stitch for the part of me that sees my dreams slipping farther from my grasp with every single stitch. Choose. 6 months ago, when I was given the chance to earn a scholarship, it was no choice at all. I threw my whole being into my studies. But now I carry twin desires within, and it seems I cannot do either justice if it only has half of me. If I give up one, will my heart forget how to push the blood through my veins? If I give up the other, will my lungs forget how to pull in air to breathe? Go slim. They say it's always with you, the limb that you've lost, a ghost. If I take this thing that I want for myself, how many thousands of ghosts will I have to reckon with? 277. Smear. On the picket line in the chill of winter, drifts of snow smear the words on our placards. On the picket line, it's impossible not to think of the girls, not on strike, home with their families, leaning over the stove, bathing their skin in the steam rising from the cook pot. On the picket line, a coat, 2 sets of stockings, and a wool skirt feel like the thinnest rags inviting the wind into every unguarded flap of cloth. Decline. This fight will swallow me whole, but it is my fight. I cannot take my escape while so many still suffer silently, though I doubt this chance will ever come my way again. In the morning, I'll tell the director my conscience will not let me sit out this fight. I will tell her I cannot accept the scholarship. But tonight, it's as though I sit Shiva for myself, for what I might have been. I bite into my pillow so Mama cannot hear the sound of my dreams. Like a surgeon's tray of scalpels, syringes, cork bottles, and vials swirling with ether, all crashing to the floor. Purim. 3 blessings and the readings of the Megillah. We hold our noisemakers ready and rattle them. Whenever the name of Haman, the enemy, is spoken. The little girls wrap themselves in tablecloths and bedsheets, take turns playing Esther, the queen who saved the Jews. My brothers wrestle, dance, drink Papa's wine when they think he's not looking. It's a day of feast to remember the women who rescued our people, a day when a father smiles at his daughter. But behind that smile, I see that he sees the daughter he wishes for, not me, but the woman he prays I will one day be. I take the smile anyway, and hope someday he'll see I am brave as Esther, standing up to Haman myself, not asking any husband to do it for me. Planning. Pauline's teaching me how to play poker. Instead of pennies we cannot afford to risk, we make our wages from the button tin. While we shuffle, deal, bluff, bet, fold, we plot, plan, strategize. I lay my cards flat, push the last of my buttons into the pile. All in. 282. You have a right. In some corners of the world, revolution looks like peasants fighting soldiers or commoners petitioning the king. Here, revolution is everyday people working together for the common good. Are you a union member? I ask the girls beside me as they walk to work and I walk to the picket line. I cannot, they say. I don't want to cause trouble. They have so many reasons. My father forbids it. What if the boss finds out? He'd fire me. I need this job. My family has to eat. But I know these reasons. I have wrestled them down myself. You have a right, I say, to work in a shop with a fire escape and an unlocked door to the street. You have a right, I say, to take Shabbos off. You have a right, I say, to tell the foreman to keep his hands to himself. You are a worker, I say, you have rights. When the streets empty, the doors to the shops close and lock the workers inside, I make my way back to the union offices. Against the dawn breaking in the sky, a kestrel glides between the buildings, small but fierce. I flip through the signature cards, memorize the names. Make no mistake, this is a revolution. This morning's work earned 4 more girls to join the fight. Joe. A young printer's apprentice comes to the labor meetings. Joe is his name. He wears a flat cap tilted to the side and a wide, ready smile. His hands are clean, though the inks have stained his cuticles, the creases of his knuckles. Last night, as we filed out into the warm evening air, I heard him say, "In Russia, I rode my bicycle through the streets of Minsk, smuggling revolutionary tracts under my coat. My family fought even though there was little hope for us there. Why, then, would we not fight twice as hard here, where hope has a chance of growing wings?" He was not speaking to me, but I found my footsteps quickening to linger in the space behind him. Tonight, though he sits on the opposite side of the room, I can feel my skin stretch, my shoulders opening, twisting in his direction, like a sunflower, pulled along the path of the sun. Pedaling. In our shuttle, as soon as the snows melted and the road between towns became passable, the season of traveling salesmen and gypsy caravans began. I understand the pressures that make the girls want to give up and give in. They understand that my wares may be the only thing between them and a fiery death. But sometimes I feel like a little more than a traveling salesman, hawking my ideas to anyone who will listen. Mama, 288. In the shuttle, Mama and I worked together in everything. She may not have agreed with my need to study, understood my desire to learn Russian, condoned my disobedience, but in the day-to-day chores of the home and the store, we worked together. When we came to this country, she cooked and cleaned and took in piecework to keep the household running. I work in the shops to bring home an income. We needed each other. We relied on each other. But this strike is something Mama cannot abide. To her, when I walk out of the shop willingly, when I forsake my income, when there's no strike fund to pay for our time on the picket line, I forsake her trust. I forsake our family. I have never felt such loneliness as this morning when I readied myself for the picket line and Mama turned her face away from me. Planning. Shuffle, deal, bluff, bet, fold, plot, plan. The police will not find it so easy to beat us with their billy clubs, haul us away to jail, if we lay our fight before the silk skirts, the mink stoles, of society ladies searching for a worthy cause to champion, for a worthy target for their pity. Trash. I have so much to say. I wish that my English were sharp as my mind. But if we speak, it is obvious we have not been long in this country. So we close our lips, march our pickets up to 14th Street, to the storefronts where the wastes we make are on display. We hold our signs high, we're the best clothes we own, shirtwaists pressed in white, pleated skirts, spit-shine boots. We dress like ladies so they cannot call us trash. 292, Kestrel. She follows me, I think, my Kestrel. For her, I walk too slowly, so she takes the idle time to circle on summer currents of air. Only then do I hear her. Killy, 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 killy. It's probably only that my walk to the picket line is along her hunting territory. But I like to think she follows me, at least in part, for the company. Menagerie. Today I'm scheduled to speak at a ladies' club uptown, to lay out the crimes against us, to speak for all the girls, to sway the opinion of those with the means to help. It's a little different than my sidewalk conversations, my soapbox exhortations, but today I feel like an animal on exhibit, an exotic creature paraded before a marveling audience. 294. Silence. I didn't see you at yesterday's lecture, Joe says, as he makes his steps small and quick to match mine. No, I had English class. He does not ask where I'm going, but he walks with me talking, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. At the library, he sits across from me, a book of revolutionary poems open before him. I have never known silence to feel so full. Meshuggah. Papa's brow is creased, his eyes dark as drawn blood. I forbid you, he says, to attend such meetings. You will come home immediately after work. The banging in my chest is so loud, surely he can hear my heart pounding against my ribs. I say, I've worked hard for this family, but Papa, do you want me working in a fire trap? Do you want me working for a tyrant? I'll bring home an income again when the work is just. Until then, I will strike, and I will spend my evenings as I choose. The hiss of Mama's indrawn breath is sharp. I walk out the door before Papa's anger has time to uncoil, before Papa's hand has time to curl into a fist. But before I leave, I catch a glimpse of Benjamin's stricken face, the rosy blooms of color high on Nathan's cheekbones. I hear Marcus's coarse whisper, Meshuggah. My own family thinks I'm crazy. How can I blame them? What sane person would believe, after all we've seen, after all we've suffered, that this world would ever change?